like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another issue of Combat Patrol. Today we're on issue 16, which sees us add two more paints, Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. Before I progress any further, I do want to apologise if there's any glare in the video. It's simply because I had to put lights on to be able to record the video today, just because it's so dark already and it's not even that late. It says then we will get two new paints, we will talk about the Ultramarines and more special abilities in this issue. Over the page then, and it's straight on how to add the new paints to your existing models. It shows you step by step on what Space Marines to add these colours to, and then also which Tyranids models as well. And that does take up quite a chunk of the magazine. In all fairness, before we have some reading material on the Ultramarines, Section B, Space Marines, Number 10, the Ultramarines are paragons of war. Each is not a physically mighty warrior, but a scholar of tactics and strategy capable of formulating a plan for any scenario. Over the page then, this carries on. We've got some area called Glory and Despair before we go on to Bonds of Honor Part 4, a story that is continuing as we progress through the magazines as well. This is 2 pages before we have some reading material called Leviathan. This is Section C, Tyranids Part 12. High Fleet Leviathan is the largest High Fleet encountered by the Imperium so far. And then we have a nice bit of artwork in the middle of the page. That progresses onto the next page before we have special abilities, Deadly Demise, Feel No Pain, and Ignores cover with explanations for each. Over the page, we've got 3 more. We've got Anti, X, and Devastating Wounds, and Shared. Keywords with explanations for those before we go on to Scenario 12, the Psycho Eater. In response to the Space Marines' use of a librarian, the Hive Mind has summoned a psychophage into the fray. So last week's model is involved in this battle. We need to use the Librarian, 5 Infernus Marines, and 3 Terminators as they face off, against the Winged Tyrannid Prime, 10 Termagants, 5 Barb Gaunts, and the Psychophage. Like always, it explains step by step what to do with the Tyrannids going first, and it gives you an example of moving and shooting on the next page before it does a step-by-step breakdown for the Space Marines turns, and again giving you an example of moving and shooting and charging and fighting. Over the page then, it's same as always, little bit of storyline material for if it's a Space Marine victory or a Tyranids victory before we go onto the back page and see that the next 2 issues come with the Termagants. Overall, I felt this issue was not particularly exciting, if I'm being honest. I feel that issues that only come with 2 paints need to be bigger. The magazines need to have more content in them to make it feel like it's worth the £9.99 price tag, I should say. Another thing worth pointing out is the fact there was a letter inside saying there is no issue next week. The next issue will be in 2 weeks' time. Obviously, next Wednesday is Christmas Day, so they're not going to bring out an issue on that day. It will come the following week. That is it for this week's issue of Combat Patrol. Let me know your thoughts on this week's issue. Pretty much one of the most disappointing issues so far, I believe. But of course, they're just my opinions. Let me know yours down below. And like always, I'll be back next week with the next issue of Combat Patrol. Goodbye for now.